welcome back to the Knead Bread Baker YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be making beet crepes. I'm using a thing called SPICEBREEZE. I will tell you a little bit more about it later, but basically every month you can select 3 recipes and they come in the mail with exotic spices that go with it. Today I'm going to be making the beet crepes from France, and these are the 2 spices that came with it. First, we're going to start with a big bowl, and I have a fine mesh sieve. It probably should be a little bit bigger, but this was all that I had right now. So I'm just going to pour in 1.5 cups of flour into the sieve, and a little bit of spilling over the sides because the bowl was pretty big, and the sieve wasn't that big, but I'm just trying to get it all in there. And we're also going to add our first packet of beetroot powder. This is just beetroot powder, and it's so cool like how vibrant and red that is. There's no food coloring, no nothing in here. In fact, in a minute I'll actually show you there's no food coloring. And so we're just going to sift that into the bowl. So now that it's all sifted into the bowl, we're going to take a whisk and we're just going to whisk it up until the flour is really nice and light pink, and it's just going to be fully incorporated, the flour and the beetroot powder. Okay, so now we're going to take a glass measuring cup with 3/4 cup of water. The water is already in there up to the 3/4 cup line. And we're going to pour in a cup of milk. It's hard to see from the top where it is, but I'm just looking from the side to make sure that it hits that cup and 3/4 line so it's really even and nice and precise. So now that we have our water-milk mixture, there's no need to mix it up because the fluids will mix together anyway, but so we're just going to set that aside, and now we have back our flour mixture, and we're just going to put a little bit of that liquid in there at a time, about a tablespoon at a time, and just mix it together until it's all incorporated. I'll tell you a little bit about SPICEBREEZE. I received it as a gift about 4 months ago, and I've been liking it a lot. So basically every month I go onto the SPICEBREEZE website, and I get to choose from I get to choose from a bunch of recipes from different cultures and countries, and I get to choose 3 a month, and then they come to my door and they have spices and the recipes. And sometimes they even come with like different things about that country. Like I once cooked Cuban food from this SPICEBREEZE, and it came with a list of Cuban music, which I think is really cool. So we're just pouring a little bit of that liquid at the time, and this is what it looks like when it's all done. It's completely natural, like no food coloring, no nothing. It's just the beetroot powder. In fact, I'll show you that it's just the card. See, it's upside down, sorry. But the back of the card, see, the first pack is just beetroot powder, just that. So it's just a really vibrant, like natural food coloring, nothing else, and that's what it looks like. It's so pink. Okay, so now that we have our batter, we're going to pour in 3 eggs. I already mixed these up in the measuring cup, but I'm just pouring like 1/3 of it in time to like just measure out what roughly what a 1 egg would be, and I'm just mixing that in one at a time with the whisk. And now that we have that, we're going to pour in 3 tablespoons of melted butter. And I just melted this in the microwave in a ramekin, so you can do it on the stovetop, but microwave is a lot easier for me. So we're just going to whisk that in really, really well. Try not to overmix it though, because that won't be good. And we're also going to add in 3 to 4 cracks of sea salt. As usual, 3 to 4 cracks is usually about 3/4 teaspoon, so if you don't have a salt cracker, just do that. Okay, so now that we have our batter, and I, for some reason, felt the need to zoom into it to show you how pink it was, because I was just so amazed by how just a little bit of that packet of beetroot powder could do such a big difference to the color of the batter. Okay, so we're going to shake it in the fridge for about an hour, and now we have a skillet, and I have a little bit of oil on my paper towel, and I'm just rubbing the oil onto the skillet, and we're turning that onto medium to low heat, and we have our chilled batter, and I'm taking about almost 1/3 cup of it, and I'm just going to pour that into the skillet, and then I frantically tried to kind of like move it around, and then since it wasn't big enough, I made the mistake of adding more to it, So I have now more in the skillet, which was not a good idea, I now realize. And it's gonna cook, even though it's way too thick and it's not gonna work, which I did not understand then. So that is how the first one turned out. And it took a couple tries to get it right, which I'll show you now. And yeah, so take two, we're in a smaller pan, which I used for when I only started making crepes, and we have some more of our batter. This one has a lot of oil in it, but I didn't remember that, so this one had way too much oil in it, because I was worried that it was gonna stick like the first one did. So when I'm trying to move it around, it's like sliding off the oil and not good. But this is my second try, and we're just gonna wait for this to cook. And I'll show you in a sec. This is how the second one turned out. Not very good. Well, it's a little better because it didn't have a lot of rips, but it still stuck even though I used oil. Okay, so take three, my third try. We're back to the first skillet and we're using butter this time, which I should have done the first time, but we're using butter. And I'm not gonna try to fill the entire pan. I'm just using, and I'm now frantically running across my kitchen to get an oven mitt because the handle was hot. And I'm just kind of like trying to kind of swirl it around just to make like resemble a circle. And this one was the one that finally worked, and that's how it looked, and I think it looks great. And this is the final product, and I added a bunch of different like toppings inside, like chives and stuff, but this is just the plain crepe, and it's really pink and a really pretty color, and you guys should really make this recipe because it's so good and so delicious. And yeah, it does take a little bit of practice to make those, so if you've never made crepes, you may need a couple tries. But yeah, thanks for watching.